I really appreciate all members of this group coming together to discuss such an important issue as is the future of stem cell research. Today we're going to hear from 5 different groups of people. We have cancer patients. Thank you for coming on this tough journey. That's great, thank you. We have some embryonic stem cell researchers, adult stem cell researchers, paralyzed child parent. Thank you again so much for coming today. This is it's a struggle and we appreciate you coming. And finally we have our religious aspects, and we really appreciate that because it's important to have a moral compass when you are discussing scientific issues. So let's begin today by discussing the type of stem cell that has been around for quite a number of years. I would like to pass open for some opening statements for some adult stem cell researchers. Thank you.
Adult stem cells are undifferentiated cells found throughout the body after development that multiply by cell division to replenish dying cells and regenerate damaged tissues. They are multipotent, which means that there are limits to what adult stem cells can become because they are already partly differentiated. Advantages of adult stem cells are the lack of risk of rejection as they are taken from the individual rather than a donor. They don't destroy embryos and have already been used safely in therapy for over 40 years. Looking back at the long history behind adult stem cell research beginning in the 1950s, we know that this is not a new science, as therapy and transplants using the cells was implemented in the 1960s. Adult stem cells do not pose any threat to human rights or ethical issues that religious groups are concerned about as long as cloning is not put into use. The majority of the world permits adult stem cell research, whereas embryonic stem cell research is restricted and banned in many countries. With the development of iPS, induced pluripotent stem cells, which enable us to bring about advantages of embryonic stem cells using adult stem cells, we believe that the field of adult stem cell research should receive more funding.
Good work. I leave open the floor to anyone who would like to ask a question.
You said that there wouldn't be any moral problems unless the potential of cloning was used. Could you elaborate on that and its implications?
Well, adult stem cells and embryonic stem cells as well can both be used to replicate the cells of the person that they're trying to fix. And when those cells are used to clone an individual's genetic code rather than just like the part of the cells for the tissues or organs that they're trying to replicate, then you get into cloning, and that causes religious conflicts as conflicts as the whole, like it goes against certain religious codes.
But it does have benefits and would propel us.
It does, and it may, but you have to also take into consideration the other groups.
And that was my next question, is that you said that this research has been around for 40 years, yet we've seen no great leaps to help our child who's paralyzed or help cancer patients. There's been no great change that can help so many people. Do you think that in the next 40 years something else will happen, or will this just keep going?
It depends a lot on the funding we receive. We can only do so much with the amount of money we have as gathering these cells and finding patients willing to contribute cells to these causes and have severe enough injuries that it would be necessary. It's rather uncommon.
But in the stem cell field, so much of funding for research already does go to adult stem cells. What if funding was diverted and put towards embryonic stem cells? Wouldn't that give us another chance?
And it might not take 40 years. It might take a few years.
In the stem cell research field, so much of funding is already being put towards adult stem cells. So what if we took some of that funding and put it towards embryonic stem cells? Wouldn't that give us another chance?
We think that embryonic stem cells, compared to adult stem cells, has so much more controversy related to the issue. Therefore, putting more funding to adult stem cells will reduce the matter of conflict between many groups and will also magnify the effects advantages that we get from the funding.
But embryonic stem cells are they divide. It's easier to generate large numbers of cells, and they are pluripotent. And so this means that if we put research here, we might find cures for like people. I mean, like for our child, so much faster, right? We just don't have time to wait another 50 years.
As we've already mentioned in our opening statement, there have already been developments in the iPS, which are induced pluripotent stem cells. These replicate the roles of embryonic stem cells, which means that we are already close to creating something that isn't controversial, but also does the same things that embryonic stem cells do. Therefore, we think that funding should be put more into this kind of research other than the controversial type of stem cells.
But instead of spending all our energy towards trying to please all these groups and lessen controversy, shouldn't it be more productive for us to focus on raising awareness of the benefits of certain stem cell research towards making our species stronger?
I think it is a matter of negotiation between all the groups. We can't, just because there are a lot of benefits in only one side of this issue, I don't think that is the only stance we should take.
And if embryonic stem cells seem to have quicker and more like grand results, doesn't this mean that we could we could use less money and donations to achieve more? This would be so much better for so many governments. So we have to
I
spend
think
less.
that we don't want to sacrifice some of our own values in order to achieve something.
Yes, and while that may be true, embryonic stem cell research has been banned in many countries since it's destroying an embryo, which in some religions and some countries is considered a natural person. Whereas with adult stem cell research, it is allowed virtually worldwide.
Thank you, Anna and Izzy. So the reason we age is because our cells do. So if adult stem cells are used in therapies, then won't the tissues created from those cells age and malfunction more quickly then?
We think that it is better than having embryonic stem cells that are put into people which might be rejected because they are not from themselves. It is from other donors and people. Therefore, reducing the possibility of rejection is much more beneficial than trying to put an embryonic stem cell into it.
Potentially growing cancers too, as the division of those cells is hard to control.
I found that it said that DNA abnormalities that are found in adult stem cells that are caused by toxins, hazards, and sunlight, they can all cause errors during replication and can also make them poorly suited for treatment, which means that all you said about them being so perfect for everyone actually isn't always true.
I think that all research fields of science, science research areas all have little flaws in them, and I don't think, as we are still in a state of development and research for these fields, I don't think that we can say that any scientific field is perfectly suitable for.
And on that note, I'd like to introduce the embryonic stem cell researchers, please.
Okay, John had a bright future ahead of him. He graduated from Stanford, had a lovely wife, and a sweet young daughter. John got into a severe car crash and lost both legs. 2 months later, John died of an infection inflicted upon his wounds, not ever being able to see his daughter graduate, never being able to tell his lovely wife that he loves her, just one more time. If only John had had access to embryonic stem cells, he would still be alive today, with both legs regrown. Yes, regrown. Well, that is his future.
Imagine a world where every disease can be cured. Imagine a world where every injury can be healed. Imagine a world where paralysis, amputations are things of distant past. Embryonic stem cells can make this world a reality. Embryonic stem cells are the future.
So what exactly are embryonic stem cells? Embryonic stem cells are pluripotent stem cells derived from the inner cell mass of an early stage embryo. These cells, being pluripotent, means that they can become anything. They have the power to differentiate and develop into any cell type in the human body.
You said every disease. Do you mean every single disease out there? I'm just saying with you, Alina.
Well, not every disease.
Then why would you say that?
But because right now there's not a lot of funding for the research, so we haven't done that much research. But like if we were funding, we could do research, and maybe we could, because like stem cells they're very potent, so they can turn into any type of cell.
So your speech just now was just based on a whole lot of speculation.
No, embryonic stem cells are the future.
What is your
Our
basis
What are
on
your basis
that?
of research?
Yeah.
What exactly do you mean? Like-
What are your basis? What is your basis on making such a speculation?
Like for adult stem cells, we've been conducting surgeries and transplants for over 40 years on various limbs and people. What have you been doing to show that we would be able to heal every injury and every wound and disease as you plan?
And regrow to
Well-
limbs.
Well, that is the next step. If you're being like stubborn and you're just sticking to the adult stem cell research, then you guys will never get to the next step. This is a more advanced, more.
What is the first step that embryonic stem cell researchers have taken to address these matters?
It is basic. Oh, I believe because we're parents, we're not scientific researchers, but we believe it is because of the very fact that they are embryonic stem cells that being an